he gets into the 95 of Bolts. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons. Good evening, race fans, and welcome to round number 10 of the iFormula League Formula 3 Series. My name is Mason Heimbaugh with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here today, 1080p, 60 frames a second, right here, live from Road America, here in Wisconsin. Folks, it is going to be a fantastic day of racing here at the nearly 4-mile-long track that we have here today, and after a small break that we've had here over the past week, coming back here to round out round number 10 here for the iFormula League for the Formula 3 Series, as we see drivers out on track for their open qualifying and currently getting in their times, getting those tires warmed up, as it is just now the opening lap here for most of these drivers, getting themselves out onto track here for the first time here for qualifying. And while they do that, we're going to go ahead and take a little bit of a preview back at last week's race. Or I shouldn't say last week's, but rather 2 weeks ago for the Japanese Grand Prix, where we saw for the Grand Prix, James Miller taking home the win for Team Knox E Motorsports. Coming away with second was Frederick Larson with Orion Legendary Racing, and Victor Solona coming away with third for Team Get Good Racing. And that was for our Grand Prix. For the sprint race, it was Leonard Schneebel coming home with the win for Alcantech NHR, Alexander Rivera in second for Noxie Motorsports, and James Miller rounding out third place for a second and third place finish here for James Miller. Or rather for Team Knox E Motorsports, I should say. And at the moment, no one has put in an official time here quite yet. Jake Potts, Andre Solander, James Miller, all three, well, a few more drivers to list here as well. But at the moment, these three drivers are the closest to being the ones to come across the line first here to put in their official times. But after coming away with the win for the Japanese Grand Prix, James Miller and Team Knox E Motorsports, I'm sure, are going to be on a, hopefully, carrying that momentum into today's race, and hopefully going to have some similar success here in today's race. But I do believe that their competition has returned here in the form of Alex Johnson in the 196 machine. Alex Johnson was not present for the race. Actually, no, it does appear that he was there. Okay, so Alex Johnson was there for qualifying, but he did not participate in the Grand Prix as well as the sprint for the Japanese Grand Prix. I thought I saw his name in there, but either way, either how, it does seem that we will have Alex Johnson returning here today for the race here at Road America, and I have for the American Grand Prix. I should have known what the name was already, but either way, either how, we've got drivers currently putting in their times here on the left-hand side of your screens. Now we can take a look at their best times as they come across the line here. But here we see Alex Johnson in a less than ideal spot here at Road America, which I gotta say is probably going to be one of the tracks where we're going to see a lot of drivers doing this exact thing as we're seeing with Raymond Aguilar here in the number 72 machine. A lot of drivers going to be getting off track here, dipping their toes into the grass here a little bit, just getting, well, really just getting real wide here throughout today's race. But I think for the most part, from what we've seen in the past with these drivers, they have done a phenomenal job in every track that we have had the privilege of broadcasting here for them. And I don't think it's going to be much of an issue for a lot of these drivers here today. But just taking a look here with Raymond Aguilar to see what it's kind of like here at Road America for those of you tuning in who may or may not be familiar with the layout here at Road America, or have maybe never have taken a lap yourself. Here, we're going to get a chance to take a look at what it's like here from the perspective of Raymond Aguilar. And this is another part of the track here, this long right-hander of turn 10 actually is called the carousel. Would be a more eloquent way to describe it. But it looks to be that Raymond here backing off just a little bit, just slowing down just a bit, it seems, backing off the pace here. But either way, either how, we've got Alex Johnson still at the very tippy top of qualifying here with a 157.461, and I'm sure that number will improve as temperatures start to come up with drivers' tires, as well as track temperatures around the track. You're having all of the, well, 26, 27 drivers that we have present here today, most of them all currently out on track here at the moment. That is going to help contribute to that overall track temperature, and hopefully give these guys a good chance, guys and gal, a good chance to put in some really good qualifying laps here, as well as see what they can kind of expect to see here for a mini sprint race, if you will. If I recall correctly, it is a 20-lap feature followed by a, I want to say a 5-lap sprint. And with lap times of about 2 minutes per lap here, a little bit less than 2 minutes, we should say here, just by a few seconds. It's going to be a real challenge for drivers here today to really just stay consistent. That's going to be the biggest factor with how large this track is, and just how, well, how difficult it can be as a driver. I've only driven this track a few times myself, but I can tell you every time that I have, it can come out and bite you. Once you start to get comfortable with it, you really want to push yourself more and more as the race goes on, and really you can find yourself in a bit of a predicament if you go just a little bit too far. And again, it's very easy to reach that point. But as so far as we're riding on board here with Andy Ray Miller, the 333 machine seems to be calm and confident here at the moment. Andy Ray Miller racing for Team Maxwell Racing Team, currently sitting at 5th at the moment here in qualifying with a 157.937. Rachel Jimenez just ahead in that 4th place spot. Going to have some great qualifying time for herself here as well for Team Lumos E-Motorsports. Alex Rivera sitting in 3rd here at the moment for Team Knox E-Motorsports. Again, his teammate James Miller, both coming away with that 2nd and 3rd podium. Pretty much coming away with podiums for the Japanese Grand Prix outright. for Team Noxie Motorsports. So both of these two drivers have done phenomenal the past few weeks, as we've got, I believe that was Victor Salona, having a bit of a moment here. Going to bring it back into pit road here, try and recover from that one, get back out on track, and continue to utilize the time that we have here for qualifying. As Alex Rivera, again, as I was mentioning, going to be with Team Noxie Motorsport. Jake Potts as well with Team Nox, going to be in that second place spot here at the moment. So seeing Nox at the top of the podium at the moment, or in the top 3, isn't necessarily too surprising. We've seen the entire team of Noxie Motorsports doing quite phenomenal, and that's not to say that we've also seen great things here from from Alex Johnson as well as Team Intend Sim Racing. Granted, Alex Johnson has been the one that has been at the top of it all throughout the past few races that we've seen Alex participate in. It is exciting to see Team Nox doing so well, securing those podiums, ultimately just staying consistent in trying to improve their positions every single race, as well as just keep themselves within top 5s, top 3s, whatever the case may be. And Team Intend Sim Racing has also been trying to do the same thing, while only being about 60 points behind Team Nox in the team championship here at the moment. So both of these teams are doing everything in their power to fight for this Constructors Championship, Team Championship, whatever you would like to call it. But it is exciting to see every individual driver's performance improve. Really, it seems like, as the competition starts to wind down to the very end here. Getting close, actually, I believe, to the end of the Formula 3 season here. Only 2 rounds remaining after today. The next round that we will have will be the Canadian Grand Prix next week at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And then the following week after that, we head to Brazil at the... Oh, I know this one. I can't remember. It's giving me the full name. But anyway, we head to Brazil for the Brazilian Grand Prix. And that will be the final round that we have here for the Formula 3 series. And I think that will also conclude their Formula 1 series as well, which they also host, I believe, the day before. Yes, it is the day before the Formula 3 series. Unfortunately, not broadcasted here on Team Goon Squad, but it is broadcasted nonetheless. So if you would like to find that, you can head on over to, I believe, their website, the iFormula League website. I believe it's iFormulaLeague.com. Yes, it is iFormulaLeague.com, and you can find information about the league. You can find statistics about your teams and drivers and so on and so forth. Plenty of great information, and as well as information pertaining to how to join the iFormula League and be a part of the great racing that they have here with this series. Not only the Formula 3, but as well as their Formula 1 series. Great racing throughout each of them, and I think this is a great place to be if you are looking for very competitive, highly competitive racing, and clean racing at that, in most cases as clean as they possibly can. Granted, not every race is going to end perfectly, and sometimes mistakes do happen, but at the end of the day, I think all of these drivers, all of these teams do a phenomenal job of keeping things great and clean, and as best as they possibly can here, every single race that we see them with. Now, looking at the top 5, not a whole lot has really changed here to say for drivers trying to work their way back up into, or well, really trying to compete here with the pole leader at the moment, Alex Johnson, with a 157.110, close to cracking into the 156 range, but currently sitting down in pit road. I'm not sure if Alex is going to make a return back out onto track here. The only real change that I can say for the top 5 at the moment that I can say with confidence is Andy Ray Miller. The 333 machine has fallen down into 6th place Rachel Jimenez falling into 5th, but still staying in the top 5 here and also still trying to improve her personal time here as well. Victor Solona, I think, is another driver working his way up here into the top 5. The number 99 machine, Victor Solona, going to be racing with Team Get Good Racing again. Get Good Racing having quite a decent race for the Japanese Grand Prix. The last time that I spoke with Victor, I believe I did speak with Victor, if I'm not mistaken here. But from what I recall, it was quite an unexpected finish for themselves, and really hoping to see if they can carry that momentum forward here today on the Japanese Grand Prix. And it looks like Victor showing some great pace here in qualifying. Let's see if that carries forward into both the sprint as well as the feature race here today. Again, 20 laps for our feature race, 5 laps for the sprint, and that will be our race today here at Road America for the American Grand Prix, round number 10 of the iFormula League. And let's check in with YouTube chat here. So we've got, I think, actually Frederick Larson in the chat, as well as Alex as usual. Great to see some of our usual viewers popping in here and watching the broadcast week in and week out. But Frederick Larson unable to be here in the race today, but is here in spirit. So I want to thank everyone who's here today and watching the broadcast, and hopefully is ready for the action here today. I know that I certainly am, and really excited to see how the first lap is going to go, both in the feature as well as the sprint. I'm curious just how tight it's going to be for a lot of these drivers heading into turn number 1. If we head on board here with Victor Solona as he heads through the carousel, actually we can get a little bit of a better view here. We'll take a look at Marian Barbaro as he comes out onto the final straight and across the checkered line. We're going to see just what it kind of can be like heading into turn 1 and just how tight things can be for a lot of these drivers here today. So not a whole lot of room. We could probably fit 2 cars definitely, 3 cars, it's going to be tight. Yeah, and a lot of these turns are not going to have a whole lot of room to work with, so not going to have a whole lot of opportunities for, drivers that are brave enough to try and squeeze their way through if they so possibly can. But it's just going to be very, very tight on the racetrack here today. So I do expect to see a lot of tires touching here today, and hopefully nothing more than that. We don't see any drivers getting too deep into one another, crashing into the side pods of one another, onto the wheels of one another, sending each other into the air. Those types of things can happen, and unfortunately you can't always avoid it. So hopefully we'll have a good, clean start for these drivers and for the race here today. I expect that it will be fairly clean, but I do expect there to be a little bit of fight here and there from some drivers here in the opening lap of both the feature as well as our sprint race here today. But for the field that we have here today, about 25 drivers, that we will have present on the track here today. Oh, and Frederick saying Road America is one of his favorites in the Formula 3 car. So it's a real shame. I'm sorry to hear that, Frederick. If it makes you feel any better, I'm personally sad that you're not here as well, but that's okay. There's always next week. We will see more great racing from Frederick Larson here in the future. But in the meantime, we've only got about 6 or 7 minutes left here before qualifying is officially wrapped up. The top 3 seems to be quite interesting here, as Rachel Jimenez has managed to work her way into that second place spot by quite a bit of a margin here between really the rest of the top 5, with about a 3.3 second lead ahead of Jake Potts as well as Alex Rivera, James Miller. to squeeze her way into second place with a 157.496. Very, very good work here for Rachel Jimenez as well as Team Lumos. Going to be a hopefully good start here for herself and Team Lumos, as it looks like Rachel's going to be down in pit road. Alex Johnson's going to be down in the pits as well. Victor Solona also just now coming down into pit road, so I think the top three might have finished out their qualifying runs here, and it looks like Victor Solona with a 157.6 to work his way into third, so 0.1 second ahead of Jake Potts here, Alex Rivera, James Miller, so on and so forth. The drivers that I'm sure have been fighting tooth and nail to try and squeeze those extra few tenths of a second out of these cars here. Trying to improve their times, trying to improve their starting positions, which is going to be absolutely critical here. I think it is obviously going to be ideal to start in as close to the front row as possible, as again, heading in through turns 1 and 2, really a lot of these turns in the opening laps when everyone is going to be right next to one another. It's going to make things difficult, I think, for a lot of drivers here today. So, going to be seeing a lot of drivers trying to find room to work with, trying to give each other enough space to not cause wrecks and so on and so forth. So, we're going to see the field shuffle around quite a bit in the opening lap as Rolly Schilter taking it Tokyo Drift style, just a little bit too deep. It's going to have to bring that one back down into pit road. But again, like I mentioned a little bit earlier in the back, at the beginning of the broadcast, is that this track is going to have, it's going to test a lot of drivers here today. Definitely one of those tracks where you're going to find yourself dipping into the grass a little bit more than you probably would like. But I do believe that is what makes the racing particularly fun here at Road America. But while we have just a few minutes left here, we're going to go ahead. I just want to take a ride on board here with one of our drivers and just have a lap around Road America here. Let's go ahead and ride along with James Miller. Actually, go from the roll bar here, and we will just have a quick lap around Road America. So just taking a quick ride on board there with James Miller. Just taking another quick lap around Road America and just enjoying the sights and sounds. But also, as I'm finding out here from chat, Raymond Aguilar, the number 72 driver, is going to be racing for Team Lumos for the rest of the season. So it will be Rachel Jimenez. It'll be Rachel Jimenez. Oh boy. Raymond Aguilar. Let's see if there's any other drivers here that I can see that are in the race here at the moment. Alex Gutnick. Gutnick. I think that's probably the correct way to say it. But I believe those are the three drivers. Alex is not currently here today, but hopefully we will see more appearances from all three of these drivers here going forward throughout the rest of the season. But needless to say, With Rachel Jimenez up there in the top 3, sitting in second place at the moment, I'm sure that is going to be a huge confidence booster here for the whole team, as well as for Rachel. While they're not exactly going to be competing for even a top 3 in the team championship at the moment, they're currently, let's see, they're 388 points from the lead at the moment in the team championship. So I don't think they're going to be really thinking or worrying about a team championship at the moment, but the fact that they are still working their way forward as a team, trying to improve their overall finishes or just overall performance here in the series, I think is a critical part of forming and developing just a phenomenal team. So seeing these developments starting to happen a little bit later in the season, sometimes that happens, but that does mean, and hopefully will show that next season, hopefully we get the opportunity to come back and bring you folks the action for that, but hopefully next season we will see those improvements continue and maybe even bring some more interesting racing as far as team championships go and just overall racing goes. But at the moment, just a few seconds left until qualifying sees the checkered flag fly, and we finish out our qualifying with Alex Johnson, Rachel Jimenez, and Victor Solona sitting in the top 3 here as we get ready to grid up for our feature race here today. Alex Johnson, Rachel Jimenez going to be in the front row. Victor Solona, Alex Rivera going to be in the second row. Jake Potts, James Malaire in the third row. Raymond Aguilar, Andrew Solander going to be in the fourth row. Andy Ray Miller, Danny O'Keefe in the sixth row. Excuse me, the fifth row. Marion Barbaro, Rolly Shilter going to be in the sixth row. Got it right that time. Moving on down the grid here, we've got Jeff Schroeder and Frank Beezer going to be in the 7th row. Arturo Mayorga, Ian Rude going to be in the 8th row. Stuart Gibbons, Justin Pasori in the 9th row. Randolph Smith, Nick Marshall in the 10th row. Jack Clark, Leonard Schneebel in the 11th row. Tristan Marshall, Paul Ayala going to be in the 12th row. And I think that is all of our drivers. Okay, I thought there was one more. Either way, either how, that is going to be our starting lineup here today as we prepare for the drivers to see the lights go out here for the first time here at Road America, and we see just how the action is going to unfold here for all of our drivers here today. With Alex Johnson and Rachel Jimenez going to be starting up at the front of the field, we are going to see a duke out between Knox E Motorsports as well as Team Lumos. Back in the second row, Victor Solona as well as Alex Rivera going to be duking it out here, trying to move their way up further here into the top 3. Team Get Good Racing trying to carry that momentum forward from the Japanese Grand Prix into tonight's race and seeing if they can improve. Well, not only improve, but hopefully continue this momentum that they have started to develop here. As the drivers prepare, the lights tick away, and out they go, and away we go. For the first time here at Road America, the drivers go away. Alex Rivera off to not a fantastic start here. Falls down to 10th place now, down 6th position, and continues to keep falling here. And actually now able to pull it back here. Alex Johnson able to pull away from the rest of the pack here. Single file for practically the top 10 here. Victor Solona, Rachel Jimenez going to go side by side. Not quite wheel to wheel, but Victor Solona able to move his way up into second place. Rachel Jimenez now trying to defend from Jake Potts, who's trying to work his way up further into the top 3 here. Side by side racing a little bit further back here. A lot of action to be seen around the track here in the opening lap here at Road America. Almost 3 wide there that we saw for just a second, but drivers keeping things clean. Rolly Shilter showing a little bit off track here, recovering from it though. As he works his way back onto the racing surface, we continue back up with the action at the front of the field. Again, Alex Johnson pulling away from the rest of the pack here. Whoa, big move here from Jeff Schroeder, the number 73 machine, just absolutely swinging that wheel around, but able to pull it off and able to walk away from that one without causing any sort of chaos. But man, that definitely, I'm sure it's definitely going to have the stewards raising their eyebrows at that one. That was one heck of a bold move, but hey, it paid off. Andy Ray Miller, Alex Rivera, both going to have a little bit of a fight here. Let's ride on board with Andy Ray Miller, the 333 machine. Going to fall back behind Rivera, the number 8 machine, who we saw have not the best start to today's race, falling down from that, I believe it was 4th place here, down into 7th. Alex Rivera trying to fight his way back up into that top 5 and continue his fight here today. Back up ahead, Rachel Jimenez putting up a fight back into 2nd place here, trying to work her way back into the top 3 further ahead. Victor Solona just on the tail, right on the rear wing. They are practically locked with one another. Jake Potts taking advantage of the battle here happening between these two. He's going to try and squeeze his way into it all. As we see Team Noxie Motorsports, you see James Miller, his teammate, right on the edge there. Also, Alex Rivera just a little bit further back. All 3 of the Noxie Motorsports drivers just like a swarm of bees trying to dominate this race here today. I'm all for it. It is great. Victor Solona still trying to keep himself in with the mix of things as Jake Potts secures 3rd place and moves up ahead of Solona. Solona now going to have to fend off Miller. James is very, very patient, and I love that Alex Rivera is kind of just playing a defensive role here, just holding these drivers off, it seems like. I mean, maybe not even intentionally, but just from the perspective that we can see here, that's definitely what it looks like. But either way, I mean, it's a team effort, and I think at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do. And they're not doing anything wrong. It's just they're playing a great strategy here, even if it's not, you know, exactly what they're doing. But it's working out in their favor either way. Jake Potts going to work his way ahead of Rachel Jimenez, who I'm not sure if that was Rachel backing off there or what the case might have been. I'm not sure if there was an issue there with the 67, but continuing on, Victor Solona back right on the tail of Rachel, right where he was just a little bit ago. And now James Miller going to be hot on the heels of Victor Solona here once again. Almost, quite literally, right on the rear wing here as we go on the front wing of the number 9 machine of James Miller up here towards the front of the pack. But back towards the back of the field, though, we've got a little bit more action happening. We're just going to take a quick break from the front of the field and just appreciate the drivers that are having battles here around the track. Rolly Schilter, Randolph Smith, both fighting for 16th here at the moment. And Rolly having some issues a little bit earlier back. Not exactly certain what the issues were, but able to recover from it and still is out here racing as we see more side-by-side racing 3 wide here for Andre Salander, Leonard Schneebel, Jeff Schroeder. As I was trying to remember what the turn number was, I failed to remember, but either way, they continue with the 3 wide action, and it looks like Leonard Schneebel is going to be the one to come out on top of it, keeping that inside line. But now having Jeff Schroeder to the inside, it's going to be a wheel-to-wheel battle coming out of the carousel. But Jeff Schroeder, excuse me. Oh, whoa! A little bit of a wobble here as they make a bit of contact with one another. A big fight for both of these drivers. Riding on board here with Leonard for just a moment here. Great racing between the two. Almost getting off into the gravel there for Leonard. Keeping it together, though. Andre Salander able to work his way ahead of the number 88 machine up into 10th place. However, meanwhile, that battle is happening, but Jeff Schroeder not going to be out of the woods here just quite yet, as he's going to have still Andre Salander and Leonard Schneebel right hot on his tail here at the moment. as they continue side by side, almost taking it 3 wide here, heading into turn 1. Keeping things together and smooth, heading back into single file racing here, trying to take advantage of the of the draft here. Back up towards the front of the field, you can kind of see things have settled out a little bit more. Rachel Jimenez having fallen into 5th place here at the moment, trying to see if there's going to be some more life left in the number 67 machine. Or maybe, perhaps, awaiting for that pit stop that will be made here. I'm not sure what lap it will be made. But I want to say it will... Can't remember what... Anyway, point being here. Frederick saying, yeah, he's amazed how clean the racing is compared to how close the racing is. And I gotta agree with you, Frederick. You know, it is quite amazing how clean every single one of these drivers is keeping this race. I mean, we're seeing, you know, very minimal of drivers getting off track and getting themselves into trouble here. Even looking at timing and scoring, ever since the green flag, there have only been 2, I would say, quote-unquote major incidents that have happened here since the race has started. So absolutely fantastic that these drivers have kept it clean. And I think Alex here just said it himself. It always gets cleaner as the season goes on. But I think really it just kind of, the racing speaks for itself. These drivers have all done a phenomenal job with keeping these races green and clean, as I always like to say. But back up here towards the front of the field, we've got Raymond Aguilar, Rachel Jimenez having a bit of a duke out here for the 5th place spot. Raymond Aguilar trying to keep himself ahead of that number 67 machine. Well, actually, excuse me. I got to remember Raymond is actually a part of Team Lumos, if I read that correctly. Yes. So Team Lumos trying to work their way back into the top 5 here. That is coming in the form of both Raymond Aguilar as well as Rachel Jimenez. Back towards the midfield, we've got Andre Solander, Jeff Schroeder, Marian Barbaro, as well as Danny O'Keefe, who are all probably the closest at the moment between one another. As drivers start to get a little bit more separation between one another, and we really start to see the packs start to dissipate a little bit. Everyone starts to get a little bit more air between them as tire wear starts to affect drivers, and really just the pace difference. Oh boy. Oh boy, Danny O'Keefe, big trouble here for the 15 driver, smacks it into the front wall and is going to have to bring it down into pit road. And there you see that the front wing magically came back, but I do believe that it actually is toast on that on that 15 machine. But you can also see the tires are completely deflated on the right-hand side. He's just limping it back down into pit road here at this point. A big incident here, but nothing else coming of it. Oh boy, Andre Solander getting into the grass there for just a minute, going to allow, oh boy, lock up there as well from Marian Barbaro, but Andre Solander going to be the one to come out on top of the battle here, and coming away into 9th place, and going to try and improve the gap here between himself and the rest of the field. And I've got word that Victor Solona got himself off track here. the number 99 machine, and it looks like it was quite a bit of bad luck here, having fallen down 15 positions from where he was, or at least where he started. Let's take a quick look at the replay here and see just what happened here for Victor Solona, who apparently seems to be battling with Team Noxie Motorsports, and oh, insult to injury. Gets way off into the gravel, into the grass, and having to drive it back onto track here, sliding all the way through here as well. Almost, oh wow, almost making contact with another driver there as well. Very, very unideal situation here for Victor Solona, but still out here, still racing, so I guess that's a positive in its own right. But James Malaire, Jake Potts, now going to be in the second and third place spot here, fending off Raymond Aguilar, who's currently trying to knock his way into the top three at the moment, or at least try and work his way into the top three, but he's got all three of the Noxie Motorsports drivers around him at the moment. I think it's going to be quite a challenging day here for Raymond Aguilar, if I do say so myself. But keeping it clean and keeping it green, that is the name of the game here, and I think these drivers are all going to do a phenomenal job of that here, as we're just going to take a second to ride on board with Alex Rivera and just having a quick moment to enjoy the sights and sounds here at Road America. While we were watching there on board with Alex Rivera, James Malaire sitting in second at the moment, Raymond Aguilar able to work his way into that third place position. A successful move here from Raymond, able to secure that third place spot here, in a good position to be in here for Team Lumos. As again, Team Noxie Motorsports showing their dominance here at Road America, with really a top five, or the top five being dominated by these three drivers here at the moment. And speaking of dominating, we got to talk about Alex Johnson here for just a second. I mean, this guy has just crushed the lead here today, with almost a little over 8 seconds of a gap between himself and second place James Malaire. I mean, Alex he's in a completely different zip code compared to the rest of the field here at the moment, just kind of enjoying the scenery. I don't even have any other words to describe it. It's just astonishing to see the pace and the level of the caliber of skill that we see here from Alex Johnson, and just how well he performs behind the wheel here. So great work from Alex Johnson. I mean, it's going to be another great race here for himself and team. I'm sure he's probably feeling a little lonely up there, so maybe he'll back off the throttle at some point and maybe let James Malaire and company come up there and have a little bit of fun with him. But I'm only kidding. Either way, either how, we can continue to see more of the action develop around the track here, as we've also got some pit stops starting to happen here. Jeff Schroeder, the number 73 machine, coming down into pit road. I'm not sure if there was any incidents involved here for the Intense Sim Racing driver, but I think it is going to be an intentional stop here, as we are just about halfway through this race here today, so I would have to imagine that drivers are going to be looking to make that pit stop here today, because if I recall correctly, it is mandatory that drivers change their tires. I want to say there is also a fuel limitation. It's a 50% fuel allotment. Yes, 50% fuel allotment, and then you also are required to change your tires here as well. So I want to say that there was an issue a few races back where fuel allotment was not properly set, or wasn't set, and that drivers had to come down into pit road anyway to change their tires as per, well, the pit policy. So I don't know why I went into that spiel, but there we go. We have that information available now. Anyway, Randolph Smith and Rolly Schilter being the closest battle that we have here on the track at the moment. I would say probably going to be, I don't want to say the only battle that we have here, but probably going to be one of the only battles that we have here on track for a little bit, as, again, most of the field has gotten themselves a little bit of room to work with, and we've also started to see drivers make their way into pit road, as Leonard Schneebel also making his way down into pits at the moment. I think starting oh boy, Rolly Schilter getting a little bit too wide into the grass, smacks the wall, and I don't think that 125 machine is going to drive very well after that bit of contact. Oh man, yeah, that thing is all sorts of banged up. Jake Potts, big issues here for Jake Potts. I was looking at the chat here, but Jake Potts, big issues here for the 41 driver. Let's take a quick look. Looks like trying to get side by side with his teammate here. And just, oh man. Just gets it spun around. Nothing major from it, but just a big error here from Jake Potts, and I'm sure he's probably not going to be too pleased about that one. After having such a dominating start here to today's race, I mean, still having both James Miller and Alex Rivera both up there in the top 5. Still going to be a good day here for Team Noxie Motorsports, but I'm sure Jake Potts is still going to be beating himself up for that one for a little bit here. But as drivers do, you got to learn to shake those things off and continue on. Otherwise, it's going to affect your race even further, which I think these drivers do a phenomenal job of not letting those things get to them and continuing to improve. Jake Potts here, I think, showing possibly a bit of tire wear coming into play here for these drivers, and Jake Potts really having a rough time with it. Here, as we ride on board here with the number 41 driver, we can kind of see what he's potentially dealing with here, and what we can also potentially do here is actually get a good look at that left tire and see what the tire wear is kind of looking like here, and if he's potentially bald spotted. I don't think he has. The left side looks pretty decent. We won't go through all of them, but as we go through the left-hander here, you can kind of get a good look. But either way, Jake Pott's going to continue to work his way back up through the field here as much as he possibly can. Having Ian Rude, the number 22 driver, just behind him now, sitting in that 10th place spot. So still a little bit of room to work with, but so far not a whole lot of worry for Jake Potts at the moment. Only having one driver around him to really kind of have to worry about, but at the moment I think he's only solely focused on trying to get back up to the front as quickly as he possibly can, with just under 8 laps left to go here for our feature race. And again, a 5-lap feature that we will have here today at Road America. So, and it looks like a busy pit road that we're going to have here as Rachel Jimenez, Andy Ray Miller, Andre Solander, Jake Potts, Ian Rude. It's a whole party down here in pit road as everyone makes their way down into their pit stalls to get a fresh set of tires, as well as get filled up on some fuel here to finish out the last few laps that we have here today at Road America. And speaking of drivers still awaiting to make their way down into the pits, it's going to be James Malaire, Raymond Aguilar, who both need to do just the same here as well. Raymond Aguilar just about a quarter of a second away from James Malaire in the number 9 machine. Gonna see here if Raymond is gonna stick on the tail here with James and really kind of see if there's gonna be a fight between these two coming out of pit road. I'm almost expecting these two to come into the pits at the same time. I can't imagine that the tires are going to be feeling too hot after 12 laps here at Road America. I mean, it's, folks, again, for those of you who might not know, a 4-mile long track, or 6.5 kilometers for those of you over the pond. Yeah, it is quite a lengthy track here, and it is going to have quite a bit of wear and tear on these tires. Quite a few turns here that are rather aggressive, and I think can really have a rough time for drivers' tires if they aren't careful. And here, right on cue, coming down into pit road, it is going to be Raymond Aguilar, Raymond Aguilar and Alex Johnson and James Malaire. Alex Johnson also making his way down into the pits. Not that it really matters for himself or anyone else for that matter, as he's just gone and away with the lead. So Alex Rivera for Team Knox, though, it looks like is going to stay out here at least one more lap. And he's also going to have, trying to find who that driver is. Is that Rolly? That is Rolly Schilter behind him in the 125 machine. Rolly going to be a lap down here at the moment, so I think Rolly is coming out. He actually came out of pit road on lap 9, so he's already come through pit road, and I think that was after a bit of an issue that Rolly had. Made contact with the wall, I believe? I know there's been a few different incidents here tonight, but I'm trying to remember the faces or the names to the... Yeah, Rolly did have an incident here earlier on, which I believe prompted him to come down into pit road to get that fixed here. I believe he couldn't drive the car after it. I think it completely smashed his steering, and it was not a good day here for Rolly. But for Alex Johnson, for Team Noxie Motorsports, for Team Intense Sim Racing, I think it has been quite a day here for everyone involved. And also throwing it out to your Lumos eMotorsports, Raymond Aguilar, Rachel Jimenez, both putting up valiant efforts here as well. I mean, it has been fantastic racing between all of the drivers and all of the teams here today. Absolutely thrilling racing between all of them. And speaking of thrilling racing, we've got Jack Clark, Justin Pasori side by side here. We're going to take it on board here with Jack Clark in the 197 machine as we take it down. I believe that is turn 5. Yes, okay, so that was turn 5. Going to be heading to the carousel right now. They're going to come out of this turn here, turn number 8, and there it is. Under the bridge and into the carousel we go for these drivers. And so far, I mean, I'm very, very impressed with how well these drivers have kind of locked it up going into the feature, and I'm assuming going into the sprint here as well. You know, I was, like I mentioned in practice, or not in practice, but in qualifying, is that, you know, we were probably going to see a lot of drivers getting a little bit off track here, getting into the grass, getting into the gravel, and we've seen a little bit of that. But going into the feature, I think it has been absolutely incredible. We have seen, I think, far less of that than we did in qualifying. And I think really just drivers in qualifying taking advantage of the fact that we're not actually racing, we're just putting in fast lap times, hot lapping essentially. Just trying to see where they can kind of extend the limits a little bit, see where they can push themselves and try and get a few more tenths out of their pace here. But again, just absolutely remarkable, the skill from these drivers and just how well they've kept this race together, even despite the couple little incidents that we've had here and there. But again, it's just small incidents, one-car incidents that most drivers have recovered from. I think the only two drivers that have not necessarily recovered, Stuart Gibbons as well as Paul Ayala, have been down in pit road for well over 10 minutes now. I don't think they're going to make their way back out onto track here, but they have opted to take it behind the pit wall, and it's going to be the end of their feature here today. Hopefully we'll see them return going into the sprint race. But here in 7th place, we've got Jeff Schroeder and Andre Solander having a duke out here for that 7th place spot. Going to see what sort of battles, what sort of action we get between these two drivers. We see Andre Solander loosely on the tail here of the number 73 machine. Andre going to be with Team Alcantech. His teammate Leonard Schneebel just up ahead in that 5th place spot, almost wheel to wheel between the two. Oh boy, it is big contact here between Andre and Jeff Schroeder. Schroeder able to recover from that one. And I'm not sure if that was pure contact or if that was just or if that was just a little bit of error here on behalf of Jeff Schroeder. But taking a look at things right now, Jeff Schroeder, Andre Solander, Andy Ray Miller going to be in the fight for 7th place here. Schroeder able to pull away just a little bit as Miller and Solander both going to take it side by side. Heading through the carousel, Andy Ray Miller going to be up ahead into 8th place. Not much fight going to be put up here from Andre Solander, and it looks like all of our field has made their way through pit road, and there goes Jake Potts here as well, working his way back up through the pack here, as we've only got about 4 laps left to go in today's feature race here at Road America. Jake Potts and Andy Ray Miller both going to be fighting it out here for the 8th place position here. Andy going to fall back just a little bit, about a half a second between these two now, But just a little bit further back here, we've got Arturo Mayorga as well as Andre Salander battling it out here for the 10th place position. As we're winding down the clock here for our feature. Not a whole lot of time is going to be left here for these drivers. And I think at the moment it's mostly going to be a game of really consistency. It's just going to be a matter of just taking it across the checkered line and trying not to making as minimal mistakes as you possibly can. Rachel Jimenez, Leonard Schneebel, both having a bit of a fight here for the 5th place position. Rachel Jimenez going to try and hold off Leonard here as they come out of the final turn onto the front straight. Here and across the checkered line. Just a few more laps left to go here in today's events, or at least in today's feature, before we head off into our sprint race here today. And Rachel doing a good job of just trying to stay consistent, and I think Leonard here doing all that he can to try and be in the mirrors of Rachel, also trying to take advantage of that draft here, trying to get as close as he possibly can. Here we'll take a look on board with Leonard Schneebel, the number 88 driver, up 16 positions from where he started in today's race, up into 6th place here, and right hot on the heels of Rachel Jimenez. Leonard trying to do everything in his power here to close the gap between himself and Rachel, but Rachel is also showing some very, very good pace here and not letting it get to her. That the fact that Leonard is right on her tail. Leonard trying to still close that gap here as close as he possibly can, within 0.2 of a second now between the two. The battle for 5th place continues to heat up here as Leonard continuing to find more ways to close the distance. Just a little bit further back from these two, Jeff Schroeder, Jake Potts, they're also continuing their fight here for 7th place as Alex Johnson, still leading the pack at the moment, is just about halfway to bringing this to, well, actually I shouldn't say that. It's still 2 more laps before we see the white flag. But Alex Johnson quickly, very quickly bringing that to a reality here. As you can see on the bottom right-hand side of your screen with the track map. You can see the 196 machine making his way through the final few turns. And it'll bring it across the line, and that will bring us just 1 more lap until the white flag. And from there, it is really just going to be frankly, I'm not sure what to expect at this point between the few drivers that we've seen get close to one another. That have been trying to bring these battles down to mere tenths of a second between each other, usually start to dissipate after a little bit. A driver will make a mistake, or someone will burn their tires off, and it just becomes a hassle. But you see Jake Potts trying to break up the air behind him as, again, Jeff Schroeder still right on the heels of that number 41 machine as they come into turn number 1. We'll keep an eye on this battle here as it continues on between these two, but Jeff Schroeder going to stay right in the mirrors of the 41 machine, and we can take a look at that effect here from the perspective of Jake Potts here. You can see just in the right-hand side, the right-hand mirror, or both mirrors actually, but it's covered up by the timing tower. Anyway, either out. Jake Potts going to do all that he can to keep himself up here in that 7th place position. Not exactly where he probably wants to be, given that Noxie Motorsports had almost all 3 drivers in the top 5. I think actually did have all 3 of their drivers in the top 5 at one point or another. But having a couple issues arise, and unfortunately having Jake Potts fall down the field just a little bit, and there goes Jeff Schroeder. Oh boy, just on the entry to the carousel, right before the entry to the carousel, Jeff Schroeder getting himself off track and spinning around and losing the front wing to that number 73 machine is going to be at a loss of downforce now. Arturo Mayorga, Ian Rude going to make their way around the number 73 machine, and they're going to continue their battle here for 9th place, as you'll excuse me. Arturo trying to do all that he can to stay out ahead of Ian Rude here. Ian trying to do everything in his power to keep that distance nice and close, and hopefully try and rattle the cage here of Arturo and make him slip up, dip the tire into the grass here at one point, or get off into the sand, go a little too wide, anything to hopefully propose the opportunity to gain another position here in the final lap, as the white flag, as we just saw, being flown from the flag stand as these two made their way across the line. We've got some issues happening up here in the top 3 with James Mollaire, Raymond Aguilar, Alex Rivera. Things heating up here for the top 3. Alex Johnson going to be well and away from it, however. But in the meantime, 2nd place, James Mollaire, Raymond Aguilar in 3rd, Alex Rivera in 4th place. Going to be having a bit of a battle here, it seemed like, as James Mollaire a little bit off track for just a second, able to recover from that one. Now Raymond Aguilar again trying to do what a few other drivers are doing here, trying to get underneath the skin of the driver ahead of them and hopefully get them to make a mistake of some kind. This is a track that's not going to be easy to make passing happen here, and it looks like Alex Rivera going to take the chance here to move up ahead of Raymond Aguilar. I'm not sure if that was just Raymond giving up a position, or if Alex just really had the upper hand there. I'm not entirely certain how that transpired, but checkered flag is out. We're going to take it across the line here. James Mollaire in 2nd, Alex Rivera in 3rd, and Raymond Aguilar coming home in 4th place, with Rachel Jimenez just behind her teammate, taking it home in 5th place. Leonard Schneebel coming away with 6th. Jake Potts will come across the line here in 7th. As we'll go ahead and let the field take their way across the line here, as this will round out our feature race here, and we're going to go ahead and get ourselves ready for our sprint race. Alrighty, folks, so while we've got just a few minutes here for drivers to get a little bit of a warm-up session in and get themselves ready to go here for the 5-lap sprint that we have here today, we're going to go ahead and see if we can't get a driver up here for a little bit of an interview. Let's go ahead and pull in our feature race winner. If we can find him in here. No, we cannot. So we were going to pull in Alex Johnson here for our feature winner. Do a little bit of a post-race interview here, but we might have to catch with him after our sprint race here today, and that is just fine and dandy. So, taking a look here at our post-race results here for our feature race. Again, Alex Johnson, James Miller, Alex Rivera coming home with the top 3 here, and I just noticed Alex Rivera's team there. That's a good one. Raymond Aguilar, Rachel Jimenez, both coming in 4th and 5th place. A good finish here for Lumos eMotorsports. Leonard Schneebel, Jake Potts, Andy Ray Miller, Ian Rude, Arturo Mayorga rounding out the top 10. Andre Solander, Nick Marshall, Randolph Smith, Victor Solona, Jack Clark, Frank Beezer, Danny O'Keefe, Justin Pasori rounding out the top 18. Moving ourselves down the remainder of our field here, Jeff Schroeder, Rolly Schilter, Tristan Marshall, Marian Barbaro, Stuart Gibbons, and Paul Ayala going to round out the rest of our field here today and conclude our results here for the feature race as drivers get themselves a little bit of time here to work with to warm themselves back up and hopefully work out any kinks that may or may not have developed throughout the feature race here today. Only a 5-lap sprint that we have here for these drivers, so not exactly something that these drivers are going to be, I would say, too worried about. Maybe so. I'm not entirely certain. Maybe drivers are more confident with long runs than they are short runs, but I highly doubt that. So, with that being said, with Alex Johnson coming away with the win, he is going to now start. I believe it's the top 12 that's inverted. I believe I could be mistaken on that. Alex might have to chime in and assist me on that assumption here, but I believe it's the top 12 is inverted here going into our sprint race. I seem to always forget that, but it is an inverted field, and Alex Johnson will have to start somewhere in that middle field and have to work his way back up towards the front, which, again, I don't think he's going to have too much of an issue with. 5 laps that he's got to work with, and if you consider how long this track is, I really don't think that Alex is going to have much of an issue here today. So with just a minute left here to go before we see our warm-up session conclude here for drivers and we get ourselves ready to go for the start of our sprint race here today. Again, only 5 laps that we will have here for our sprint, and a relatively short race that should be had for these drivers. So hopefully any of these teams that are looking to secure points are able to do so here in the sprint. Taking a look at things and just kind of, seeing what drivers, or what teams rather, are going to need here. Because if we talk about the team or the Drivers' Championship, that's a little bit of a different story, where Alex Johnson has, I would say, a relatively dominating lead with 96 points ahead of James Miller in that second place spot in Marian Barbaro in third with 103 points behind the leader, Alex Johnson. But for the team championship, Intense Sim Racing with Alex Johnson, you could say, at the head of that, only 60 points behind Team Nox eMotorsports. So it is a very, very close battle here between these two teams. And going into the final 2 races of this season, I think it is going to be an interesting fight here for these drivers. But let's go ahead and take a look at our starting grid here today. Nick Marshall, Andre Solander starting up in the front row. Arturo Mayorga, Ian Rude going to be in the second row. Andy Ray Miller and Jake Potts taking up the third row. Leonard Schneebel, Rachel Jimenez going to be in the fourth row. Raymond Aguilar, Alex Rivera in the fifth row. James Malaire and Alex Johnson taking up the sixth row. Moving ourselves down here one more time. Randolph Smith, Victor Salona in the seventh row. Jack Clark, Frank Beezer in the eighth row. Danny O'Keefe and Justin Pastori in the ninth row. Jeff Schroeder, Rolly Schilter in the 10th row. Tristan Marshall and Marian Barbaro in the 11th row, with Stuart Gibbons and Paul Ayala rounding out the field in our 12th row here today. Here we go. The lights are about to go out. 5 red lights, and out they go here. And away we go once again here at Road America. For the American Grand Prix, Ian Rude not having quite the best start here. Driver scrambling all around, heading off into turn number 1. Andre Solander going to try and keep this gap that he's got 3 wide that we have here right in the middle of the field. But it is big trouble here for the remainder of the pack. We're trying to get some good coverage of it here. Oh, man, it is drivers all over the place. Parts scattered everywhere. Chaos. Here into turn number 1, we'll go back and take a look at the instant replay of that here just as we're watching the remainder of the field here try and sort themselves out. And more battles continue to develop here in the opening lap of our sprint race, with Andre Solander still holding out at the front of the pack here. And it looks like potentially Alex Johnson also involved in that opening lap incident here. We'll take a look at that here in just a moment. I want to see if anything else is going to develop here. Oh, Jake Potts way off into the gravel. As we see Leonard Schneebel, Raymond Aguilar, I believe Nick Marshall as well, go through the carousel, and we've got trouble for Andre Solander, the leader, off into the grass, out of the carousel. The lead passes back up to Andy Ray Miller, who's got almost 2 seconds of a gap between himself and the rest of the pack, who continues to fight for positions. Leonard Schneebel, Raymond Aguilar going to be almost wheel to wheel here with one another. Nick Marshall, Arturo Mayorga, Rachel Jimenez also fighting wheel to wheel, almost 2 wide here, but almost 3 wide is what I'd like to say. But again, not a whole lot of room here to work with. You got to be very, very careful when you go into those 3 wide situations here at Road America. Things can go south very quickly. But now that drivers have a bit of room to work with between one another, let's go back and take a look at this absolutely insane start that we had here. So watching Alex Johnson here heading off into turn 1, and our view gets obscured by trees. Multiple drivers, at least half a dozen drivers involved in this one. Parts scattered everywhere. It is just chaos. Absolute chaos. And Alex Johnson, unfortunately, right in the middle of all of that. More battles continuing here in the top of the field, with Arturo Mayorga, James Malaire fighting side by side. Or excuse me, that was James Malaire and Rachel Jimenez. Good battles forming all around the track here and continuing to develop here on lap 2 of 5. Mostly single file action that we're seeing around the field here at the moment, but how long before that will change here? As Rolly Schilter, Tristan Marshall, they both look to take it wheel side by side here. Tristan Marshall going to, Rolly Schilter going to back off here for just a moment as Rolly's going to get up right on the rear wing of Jack Clark here, the 197 machine. We'll take a ride on board here with Rolly in the 125 for just a moment and see what he's going to have in store here for Jack Clark in the 197 as they're going to take it across the checkered line here. 2 laps left to go here at Road America for the iFormula League Formula 3 Series, round number 10 for the American Grand Prix. A car stopped right in the middle of the... Whoa! Whoa! That, wow, folks, I cannot tell you just how dangerous that is. Not an ideal situation to be in at all. And speaking of unideal situations, Paul Ayala, the number 85 machine, finding himself way off track here, having to recover from that one. I'm not sure if he's fighting bad tires or what the case might be. He might have flat spotted them. I'm not entirely certain, but it might just be a rough day here for some drivers who were involved in that opening lap incident. Again, more parts scattered out on the track here. It's a good thing that here in the iRacing service, those generally don't affect you when you drive over them. So, oh boy, wheel-to-wheel action continuing to develop here around the track as Rachel Jimenez trying to break out of the pack, of the battle pack that we've got formed here. Marian Barbaro, Danny O'Keefe, Rolly Schilter, Andre Solander, just to name a few, as we've got, I believe, Nick Marshall, the 32 driver, finding himself way bent out of shape here through all of that. Able to recover from it, not having to bring it down into pit road. I'd say that's a win in my book. And here he is again, Nick Marshall in the sand, not having a great time here in the sprint race. But a driver who may be having a better time here in the sprint is Andy Ray Miller, currently sitting at just about a second of a gap and closing, well, actually falling down here a little bit as Raymond Aguilar able to close the gap here just by a little bit, and only one final lap left to go here before we see that white flag fly. But back here towards the middle of the pack, we've still got more of the action continuing to develop between Danny O'Keefe, Marian Barbaro, Andre Solander, Rolly Schilter. Danny O'Keefe going to be stuck on the outside of Marian Barbaro, trying to get a little bit of clearance between them. Able to successfully do so on the exit of turn 8, heading into the carousel. Or excuse me, that's a couple turns before that. But either way, Danny O'Keefe able to break away from the pack here just a little bit, give himself a little bit more room to work with. But up here towards the front of the field, Raymond Aguilar continues to try and close the gap between himself and Andy Ray Miller, as there is only just one lap left to go here once these drivers come across that checkered line. And Andy Ray Miller going to be looking to secure a win here today, not only for himself, but for Team Maxwell Racing, his teammate Arturo Mayorga, as well as Randy Smith, who I don't think is here today. No, he is here today. He's just not currently in the race at the moment. But side by side, Andy Ray Miller, Andy Ray Miller and Raymond Aguilar take it wheel to wheel for just a second here as the white flag flies. Raymond drops off here just for a moment. Back here towards the mid-pack, James Miller off track here, falling down all the way to 12th here as drivers make their way around. Oh, and it just continues to get worse here for James Miller. The final lap here of our sprint race at Road America is just absolute chaos for drivers all around the track here. Andy Ray Miller, Raymond Aguilar continue their fight here for the lead as more drivers continue to struggle finishing out today's race. Sprint race, I should say. Here at Road America, I think it is going to be an exciting finish for all of these drivers here today, or at least for us watching at home. So we're just taking a ride on board here with Raymond Aguilar and watching to see if Raymond's going to have any moves here for the leader, and he does, taking it along side by side. Oh, a little bit of contact between the two. They're going to take it even further. Raymond able to secure the lead now, but Andy Ray Miller potentially going to have something up his sleeve to strike back here. Going to try and squeeze his way into the inside through. Oh, boy. Out of the final turn, it's not going to be enough here for Andy Ray Miller, but Raymond Aguilar going to take it across the line here for the win here in the sprint race. For Maxwell Racing, Andy Ray Miller, very valiant effort here for second, and Leonard Schneebel taken away in third. A very, very impressive finish here for a lot of drivers here, and I wish we could have gone back a little bit further for that. But a picture-perfect finish here for Andre Solander and Marian Barbaro as they take it across the line nearly at the same time. And perhaps we'll be able to see that same thing happen here between Jeff Schroeder and Alex Rivera as they are almost wheel-to-wheel with one another. Out of the final turn, Alex Rivera trying to do all that he can to get alongside Jeff Schroeder. Jeff going to be breaking up all the air behind him that he possibly can. Alex Rivera going to take it along side by side. It is not going to be enough, though. Alex Rivera showing a very valiant effort here in the sprint race as well as in the feature. It has been a phenomenal day here at Road America, excuse me. For the 10th round of the iFormula League Formula 3 Series, as we go ahead and take a look at our feature race results, or rather our sprint race results, with Raymond Aguilar, Andy Ray Miller, and Leonard Schneebel coming away with the top three here today. And let's go ahead and bring in both of our winners here today, and let's have a little bit of a discussion. First up, though, let's start with our sprint race winner. Raymond Aguilar coming away with the win here for the sprint. Raymond, a absolutely fantastic finish here for yourself and for your team coming into the sprint here today. You had great performance in the feature. You took that forward, you took that momentum, and you carried it right into the sprint, and you managed to come away with the win, and right in the final lap as well. I mean, you and Andy were both going at it for quite a bit there. I'm sure that you guys are both probably glad that the race is finally over, because I'm sure if I was either of you two, I would just be absolutely tired after the battles that you two had all night here.
Yeah, after a decent, a good first race, we jumped into the second there, pulled it home at the end. We had some contact in like the second to last corner. Hope I didn't make anybody mad on my first time in this league, but call of the ultimate warrior. I got it done at the end.
Absolutely. Well, and it was a fantastic time to see you here, really for your first appearance here for Team Lumos as well, and that's another thing that I wanted to mention here as well, having a little bit more of the presence here for Lumos Motorsports. Both yourself and Rachel Jimenez coming away with top fives here in the sprint, and checking back here, I believe it was not quite similar for the feature. You were up in the top five. Actually, no, it was both the same.
Yeah, we locked it out.
Okay.
We locked it out. It was second through fifth or sixth. We would have had like 5 or 6 of those spots in there. I think we lost one driver in the whole thing, but we locked it out, man. I had to come to see my favorite broadcaster on the Team Goon Squad team, Mason. I had to finally get into a league that you're running.
Well, it's great to finally have you up here. It was always great to have your support in the chat, but now you're actually out here on track, and I actually get to call a race that you're driving in, so it's great. It all comes full circle. But it's especially great to see you up here coming away with a win. I mean, that's got to be the best feeling. Showing up here for the first time and coming away with a W. Maybe not for the feature, but for the sprint. I mean, hey, you can't win them all, but I think you did a fantastic job here today and really showed your talents here, both in the feature as well as in the sprint. I'm definitely looking forward to next week as we head to, oh boy, I already
Canada,
forgot.
I'm hearing
Yes.
it's Canada, but yeah, I think the Taco Bell number 72 Honda Hankook Tire Lumos F3 car is ready to go in Canada. I think we're ready to put on a good show.
Absolutely. Well, I certainly look forward to it, Raymond. And before I let you go here and do your celebrating, is anyone out there that you want to shout out and thank before you go?
IFL putting on a good show. TGS is always broadcasting it really well, and Lumos for giving me a car to drive in the last couple rounds of the series.
Absolutely. Well, Raymond, thank you for joining me up here in the booth. It was a pleasure to finally get to talk to you after many, many broadcasts of talking with you kind of intermittently through chat and whatnot. But, Raymond, congratulations, and I look forward to seeing you next week in Canada.
Yep. Thanks. Love you, Mason.
Absolutely. Have a great night. Alrighty, folks. So that was Raymond Aguilar coming away with the win here for the sprint race. And up next, we're going to have to keep things kind of short here today, so I don't think I'll be able to get through quite everyone that I want here today, unfortunately, but I will do my best to get through as many of them as I possibly can here. Next up, we're going to have up in the booth here, let's go ahead and bring up our feature race winner, Alex Johnson, coming away with the win here yet again for himself in Intend Sim Racing. Alex, after a little bit of a hiatus a couple weeks ago for the Japanese Grand Prix, coming here today, really up here in the booth, I didn't really expect anything different. What was kind of your expectations here coming into Road America? And really, actually, I have a better question for you, Alex. What was going through your head? The sprint race start, first lap, everything just completely, it went south. It was chaos for everybody, and it seemed you were just right smack dab in the middle of all of it. I mean, what ran through your head in those moments, the moment you got involved in that pileup?
Literally my only thought was, where is James? I need to get this bloody drivers championship. So yeah, that was all I was thinking about. Then he obviously crashed, but I think it would have been fine regardless. So yeah, drivers champion. Feels good. Feels really good.
Yeah, it was a fantastic race here today for not only yourself. I mean, obviously you had a crushing lead in the feature race. I was kind of hoping to see a little bit of a fight from you for going into the sprint race, but obviously having that little bit of an incident happen right at the opening of the race, not an ideal situation. But I mean, Alex, coming into this week and only having 2 races left in the season, knowing that you're the guy on the top of the drivers championship, but also knowing that you and your team are just within that margin of being there neck and neck with Noxie Motorsports for the team championship. I mean, what's kind of your strategy? What's your game plan? What do you hope to accomplish here in the next 2 races?
It would be really nice if we could seal the team championship. I think it's looking very bleak after this round. I don't think, except my race 1, I think the points were pretty horrible, I must say. So yeah, I'll do what I can on my end, and then hopefully my teammates can pull through as well and get some good points for the next coming 2 rounds. I mean, race 1 was obviously pretty perfect. Car was fantastic. Big shout out to my good friend and setup guy Jesper at JWS Setups. This was probably the best car I've ever driven around Road America ever. So like, car was absolutely flawless. So made my job very, very easy.
Absolutely. Well, Alex, I mean, having dominated today's race and kind of, looking forward into the next 2 races, I'm more than certain that we'll see you up here in the booth again, and as well as probably in those top 3, but probably with those with that win here in the next 2 races. But I mean, like you said to yourself, it's going to be a challenge here for yourself and for your team to secure that team championship. But I think overall, I think for the Drivers' Championship, you probably have that one pretty close to in the bag. So I definitely look forward to seeing what's going to happen here over the next couple of races, and if we're going to see any competition from your closest competitor, which is James Miller, sitting in 2nd place in the Drivers' Championship. But before I let you go here and before you get to celebrating and all of that, Alex, is anyone watching the broadcast, anyone at home or in the pit crew that you want to shout out and thank before you go?
Big shout out to the team, of course. Big shout out to Jesper who hooked me up with the most amazing setup ever. And yeah, big shout out to all the sponsors that are helping us. So yeah, that's about it. So happy to get it finally locked up and done with. So yeah, can't complain today either.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you for joining me up here tonight, Alex, and great race, great performance that you had both times, even though the sprint race didn't quite go the way that you probably wanted it to. But either way, great racing from you, and I look forward to seeing you next week in Canada.
Yep, we'll see you in a week.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, alrighty, folks. I do apologize, but that is going to have to conclude our coverage here tonight. I've got a few more drivers that are looking for interviews, but unfortunately, I've got to cut it here. I have to go pick up my child from his grandparents. So I do apologize. I hope all of you understand. In the meantime, I thank each and every single one of you for tuning in and watching today's broadcast. If you like what you saw, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Catch all the action that we have here on Team Goon Squad 7 days a week, nearly 7 days a week. Again, as always, my name is Mason Heimbaugh, bringing you all the action here. 1080p, 60 frames a second every single week. I look forward to seeing you all next week, same time, same place as we head to Canada. Circuit Giles Villeneuve for round number 11 here of the iFormula League Formula 3 Series. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next week.
Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Bolts. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away go for the first time. Nicholas Borcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got 3 wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Nice to go out here for Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
See just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into 2nd place. Alex Johnson 6/10 to lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Oklahoma International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.